Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Chatting With. And if you know this guy, you'll know him from Pro Wrestling Zone, and he's Rick Del Santo. And before we get started, I want to show off some pickups, so I don't have to make a second video. The first one, I know what a lot of people probably would say, but it's the Nickelodeon's Gas Grandes. And just to show you what the discs would look like, there's disc 1 and disc 2. And then to get into actual wrestling, one of the crappier pay-per-views from last year, the horror show Extreme Rules.
That is a terrible, terrible event.
With a crappy bright neon green disc.
There's a bit of trivia for you. That is the very first episode that the DVD Freak joined the podcast. That's the very first episode where we reviewed that.
And then another, I would say, is a little bit better, but not a whole lot than that. But SummerSlam 2020.
That one I don't remember much.
Neither do I.
I don't remember. The whole 2020 wrestling year was pretty much a blur. So.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Rick. Then Clash of Champions 2020. And those three didn't come with a top trading card, unlike this one, which would be the Royal Rumble 2021.
That show wasn't so bad. I enjoyed this year's. I think 2021 is picking back up a little bit, as far as things go so far.
And I'm wearing the appropriate shirt because the Edge won this Rumble and came with a top trading card.
But he's not winning this weekend, I'll tell you that much.
I believe he will.
Let's take some bets, all right?
Then, last bit from at least Walmart, the Rock Funko Pop.
Nice.
And I think you will like this one, Rick. Oh, yeah!
That's a good one. That's a good one, definitely.
And after we just talked about him, Edge. Then I got one more thing, but I can't really show you the item. But I can show you the box. It was a TCL smart TV.
Oh, nice! You got a new smart TV.
Yeah. It's actually my first smart TV. It's actually my first smart TV because the one I had previously wasn't smart at all.
I'm looking at new TVs myself. A kind of nice. I almost bought one just for this weekend, just for WrestleMania. I was looking at a nice 70-inch to put down in my man cave, so to speak.
Well, I've been had to connect my computer. To the TV just to be able to watch any pay-per-views or perhaps now shows, and I had my computer rested just to be able to watch it.
You don't have a Roku box?
I never did until now. I have a Roku, but that's because it's built into the smart TV.
Okay, it's a Roku TV. That's pretty good then. So. There's a lot of stuff going on this week. What are we going to cover here today?
And say, because I was asked by Gregory Kramer to talk about this, and I know, Rick, you've talked about it on the Pro Wrestling Zone, and that's the move to the WWE Network moving to Peacock.
And it's a real travesty here.
And I'm sure everyone knows by now, it's only in the U.S. First of all, I want to know why they sold it to NBC. But because that was never released, as far as I know.
I'll tell you why. I mean, and it's pretty evident that the McMahon family is, they're a completely greedy company or family, I should say, greedy people, greedy, all these corporate people, corporate America, all they want is money, 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 and more money. It's like that's why they made the Saudi Arabia deal. So they're going over there each, however many times a year for millions of dollars. It's like a multi-billion-dollar deal just for the freaking Saudi shows. For what was it, a 5-year or 10-year contract?
I think it was a 10-year contract.
10-year contract. And then they made the Fox deal for however many billions of dollars. And now the Peacock deal for however many billions of dollars. The network definitely had a lot of flaws. A lot of stuff wasn't censored on there. You know what I mean? And it was there's a lot of great content, a lot of great old content. And if they knew that they were making this deal, they should have really, really, really tried to improve this before launching it into Peacock. Like just, uploading a shit ton of content, and rather than they've only uploaded like somewhat modern WWE television or productions and then a few WCW, but like all the old territory stuff on the network isn't there, and it's driving me crazy. I can't go on there and watch old World Class if I want to, or old AWA if I want to, or old Mid-Atlantic if I want to.
Rick, I want to kind of correct you a little bit, but there's also ECW.
Oh, geez, that must be censored like crazy if that's the case, because as you know, Donnie, the Peacock has been going through and censoring everything in the WWE network. So
that was actually
I can only imagine they're just going to butcher ECW and the whole Attitude Era and anything that comes off as even like slightly racist or, homophobic or any of that kind of stuff. So just a matter of time. Just going to butcher all this material.
Well, the censorship was actually my next topic anyway, but going off racism, they edited it out from WrestleMania 6, I believe, with Roddy Piper. Is he painting up? He painted up half black.
Yes, they censored that. I
that
believe that they could have put it just. Go ahead, Don.
That was not Piper's intent, and plus, like I think you was about to say, and I know Wrestling Days actually mentioned this, where they could have put a disclaimer at the beginning of the show that could have cleared things up.
I mean, Disney Plus does it, and there's a lot of other streaming services that put up a disclaimer that they're playing, classic material that may be sensitive by today's standards. And it just, a lot of them just say, this was made at a time where the world was different or something to that effect, and that, that does not express our views by today standards. So, I mean, because there's a lot of movies, look at it. Everything's going to be censored if that's the situation, if everybody's just being like Peacock and NBC. It's just insane.
Me, I don't see why people want to get so butthurt about every single thing anyway.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of this whole cancel culture has to stop. It's just ridiculous. It's I understand just because it's on the television show that I watch does not mean that I believe it. You know what I mean? And it's a way to draw heat or draw a storyline or make a storyline. It's not necessarily, I watch movies that have pretty crazy stuff in it, yes or no. And, it doesn't mean that I believe it. It just adds to the story. And it makes the story what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just people that just really got to relax, have a cold beer, relax, and stop being just sissies these days.
And not really think much about it. That's another thing.
Exactly.
Not think much about it.
Exactly. It's just because somebody says something or it's involved in a storyline. A lot of the stories that happen, it's all fiction. You know what I mean? It's a storyline on a television show where there's wrestling. So calm down. It's a way that the story is going. It's not necessarily real life.
That's why I firmly believe that wrestling is the way it is right now. It's because people want to get too damn butthurt about it.
The last 20, 25 years, the whole the business changed in especially the last like 15 to 20 years, wrestling business. And a lot of people, it's like, and especially, if you want to consider the WWE, they're a wrestling company or entertainment company, it's like they're more worried about selling advertisements and worried about getting, money from distributors and money from places like Peacock and Fox and places like that. So that they have to watch what they say in their television shows and
really they
family friendly or whatever.
And they wasn't used to be like that.
No, that whole attitude era. They're going to really have to investigate, because that is, that's got to be some harsh shit that's going to be in there. I heard there was a Goldust segment that was taken out because of the face paint that he wore was a little bit too suggestive. But I'm just like, I don't ever remember. He would always wear the black and gold or the gold and black, and sometimes he'd reverse the way that it looked. And they removed a video because it was more black than gold. So I'm just like,
well, let's go with Goldust for instance. You got the face paint. You got the certain things that he does,
and
shapeshifter.
His character was more androgynous and sexual and stuff like that. And it wasn't supposed to be. There was nothing racist about his character. You know what I mean? So people really got, all of a sudden they're really investigating these things. And I mean, I can tell you way more storylines he was involved in that I was offended by than that.
Yeah. And of course, you got, for the Attitude Era, you got women stripping down and so on. So I can kind of understand for nowadays, especially if you think about being family oriented, they don't want the kids seeing that.
Well, you notice on the WWE network prior to Peacock, there was always a disclaimer saying that this, and they would rate it, whatever, TVMA. This is, this may not be appropriate for some audiences, for all audiences. So, that's what they could. That was the whole Attitude Era. That was the whole Attitude Era. Yeah, that they put that disclaimer up for.
So to me, that's what made that Attitude Era kind of fun. That kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure if you're how big of a fan you were during the Attitude Era, but I was actually grew up during the Attitude Era.
I was a big fan at the time. I go back and watch it. To me, it doesn't hold up. But at the time period, that era, ECW was happening, WCW was happening as well. And so I used to go to a lot of shows by any of the companies that used to come around here between WWF, WCW, ECW, and I watched it all. Just like I do now. I watch it all. And, WWE was, I was into it at the time, but it's stuff that as an adult, growing up 25 years later-ish, 20-something years later, it doesn't hold up. The product, it's not as interesting. It's just, a lot of it just looks like trash, like trashy TV. But, I'm not going to stop somebody from watching it if they want to watch it. A lot of people love that stuff and think that it should return. I don't personally, because going back and watching it, like I said, it doesn't hold up. It's not as interesting as it was back then.
Well, I don't want the full Attitude Era back, but there's like elements of the Attitude Era that I think that should come back. Like just like that. And just like there's like elements of other eras, I think that should come back and try to make a whole new era.
Yeah, I grew up in the 80s where wrestling was wrestling still. And in WWE, you had Cartoon Land, basically, and the NWA was a lot more realistic. It looked like it was treated like a sport. It was treated like a big event, you know what I mean? It looked grittier, so it looked more real. So I was attracted to that more than the whole cartoon and aspect of professional wrestling.
See, that's what I like to see back, reality-based wrestling.
Yeah, And the only thing that, like I said, right now, as far as stuff like that goes, is Ring of Honor, the NWA. I really like a lot. I mean, it's not that I don't watch, the others like AEW and WWE. It's just that it doesn't represent what I like as professional wrestling as a whole. The NWA and I think Ring of Honor are doing a really good job at that.
And moving on to the next topic, if you're done there,
Yeah, sure.
and that's China going into the Hall of Fame by herself. A lot of people is still butthurt that she hasn't been into the Hall of Fame by herself. To me, the only way she's going to get in, and she has, is through D-Generation X.
I think that she should be in. She definitely was very talented, and she's the first. She was the only woman to hold the Intercontinental title. Okay, now, and she was somebody different for her time period. She, I don't like intergender wrestling, but she was definitely wrestling guys at that time period, and I think that she was somebody different for a different kind of woman for the professional wrestling world. She was not, say, like a Moolah. She was not like a diva. She was something different, and she stuck out from the pack. She was, I thought that she was cool. I enjoyed her work.
To me, she was not even a good wrestler.
She wasn't necessarily, she was very strong and she could pull off certain things. She wasn't necessarily this great ring tactician like a Ric Flair or something like that, but she held her own as far as what she could do in the ring.
To me, she's more of a bodybuilder than she was a wrestler.
She was, and then she toned that down a lot. She got rid of a lot of that because she was trying to transform to make herself look pretty. She had the face surgery, and she changed her whole self. I didn't think, I just think that she should be in the Hall of Fame. I think she definitely does have a Hall of Fame worthy career. She was the women's champion as well. I mean, if this is how I look at it. If Coco Beware is in the Hall of Fame, she should be in the Hall of Fame. What the hell has Coco Beware done? Exactly. Or even The Godfather. Exactly.
Nothing on top of my head, but
there's a lot of people in there. There's a lot of people in there that did nothing in the business. Like, what did The Godfather or Coco or let's see, I'm trying to think, what did they accomplish? I mean, Coco was popular in his Memphis days, but in WWF, he was just a jobber.
I'll even give you another one that doesn't even deserve to be in there. The Bella Twins.
It's not my decision. I wasn't really a fan of things. I wasn't even really watching much during that time period. So I don't really know what they really contributed to WWE. All I know is that they botched a lot of moves. When I heard they had a reality TV show, I didn't watch that. And to me, in my personal opinion, they're still too modern to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Well, there's that too. But the only thing I can see them doing is because of these reality shows, they brought eyes to wrestling.
Yeah.
That's the only thing they really done.
Yeah, they definitely did. Reality TV it's like a crossover. You know what I mean? So that worked for them in that manner.
And I'm not sure about your opinion, but wrestling and reality shows does not mix, for my opinion.
I don't like reality TV. It's really boring. I don't really find it funny. I do watch some of it with my wife because she's a huge reality fan. But and so there's a couple that I kind of get into, but it's nothing that I sit there, and say, "Oh man, I got to watch this week." It's it's not like me sitting down and watching a baseball game or watching NXT or AEW. I don't like reality TV.
And staying on topic of the Hall of Fame, just to let the viewers know, me and Rick was talking, and Rick actually said that he had some complaints, just like I do, about the the 2020 and 2021 Hall of Fame. Do you want to start, Rick?
I watched it. What was it? It came out on Tuesday, so I think I watched it Wednesday morning. I think I watched it Wednesday morning. I don't ever, I always end up watching stuff while I'm at my desk at work because I don't get a lot of time to watch things live, really. So, I thought that I wasn't really impressed going in to the Hall of Fame with the list of characters and people that were going in. I ended up enjoying it a hell of a lot more than I really expected. I thought they ended up they worked really well with what they had. I thought Davey Boy Smith going into the Hall of Fame, that was pretty cool. It's pretty interesting, but I don't think that his son gave a really great speech. No wonder he didn't seem to kind of promo very well, I guess. Trying to think of who else. The legacy wing, some of those guys, I think that they should have had their own induction, like Dr. Death Steve Williams. I can't believe that he went in through legacy wing because he should have been. He should have had a regular induction. That guy was a monster. He's one of the all-time greats in professional wrestling. You don't hear enough people talk about him these days. He had a great career in the UWF and the NWA. He never really made it big into WWF. There was plans to, but then he got injured. He had a huge career in Japan, him teaming up with Terry Gordy. So, I think that he should have gotten his own induction. It's great to see somebody like Pistol Pez Watley get inducted and Brickhouse Brown and Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, but they're all in the legacy wing. Those are all guys that I think, I'm glad that they're in the Hall of Fame, that they were mentioned. I just wish they would have gotten their own inductions instead of just being thrown in through that legacy thing. Because I think that's just, some of those people that are thrown in there, like, was it 2019? They inducted Bruiser Brody in that way. And, that's a travesty right there because he's just a legend in professional wrestling. So, the other thing is that I thought that Bradshaw's speech was really well done. He was kind of funny. Excuse me. The video package that they did for him was really good. He told some really great stories about coming up in the business. So I was never really a fan of his that much, and then he did like a nice little tribute to Eddie Guerrero. Give a shout out to him and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. Glenn Jacobs, Kane, his speech I thought was phenomenal, and then did a shout out to Jim Cornette and Tom Pritchard and Al Snow and all those guys, people that helped him throughout the years. I thought that his was really, really well done. And pretty much those are my opinions. Everything else, Rob Van Dam's speech was just kind of whatever, he's the only one of two ECW originals to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't fantastic. Bischoff, he was awesome. He's one of the greats in the business. So I'm trying to think. I think that's pretty much it. That those are my opinions on. They combined the two, 2020, 2021, and they made them two separate programs. I'm not sure if you saw that.
Yeah, I made them. Yeah, I've seen that where they made two separate programs.
So I just thought that. I thought that was a little weird. I thought they would just do one big, longer event because the first one was hosted by Jerry Lawler.
Yep.
Which is good because I'm a Lawler fan. And William Shatner being inducted. I don't know. The celebrity inductions I always find a little bit ridiculous and corny. But I'm a Star Trek fan, and
as well.
Yeah. I mean, but I'm a Star Trek fan, and Shatner's been involved in wrestling on more than one occasion, so at least more than, say, Drew Carey or so. So it was enjoyable. I liked it. I just wish that they should have done one longer thing, and I didn't like the second half. The one thing I didn't like about it as much was Corey Graves. I just find him to be incredibly annoying. So every time he's on my TV, I get annoyed. Other than that, I enjoyed the Hall of Fame as a whole.
The thing I have with the Hall of Fame is the length of the speeches. As Eric Bischoff himself pointed out, 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Why 3 minutes? They could have given them like 15, cut out the commercials, gearing up for WrestleMania when everybody knows that WrestleMania is going to be this weekend. And then
they probably didn't want to get. They probably didn't want to get stuck like they did that one year with Hillbilly Jim talking for like almost an hour. So
well, like I was also going to say, they could have also cut out the red carpet for the modern era.
Yeah, that was like all the modern era, like in between stuff. Like I could have really done without a lot of that stuff. It's just I didn't really care about like seeing a lot of their comments. Really did nothing for me.
Well, and really, what did it do for the Hall of Fame? Nothing.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I believe that they should cut out the red carpet bull crap, and then at least part of the commercials. They had like 45 minutes worth of commercials.
Really?
Yeah, it was like in between 30 to 45 minutes worth of commercials.
Wow, that's crazy.
And so therefore they could have cut out those two things, gave each person around 15 minutes to talk, and then at least for the fans would have at least enjoyed it just a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean the Hall of Fame is one of the main things I look forward to every year. I don't go crazy over. Oh man, it's WrestleMania. This year I did a little bit because I got a little bit excited because I think that they're going to do a good job with it. I don't mind the 2-day event thing. It's a lot of people complain about it, but I always look forward to the Hall of Fame, and this year I'm really looking forward to WrestleMania. I think there's some really good matchups that are going to happen, and there's just a lot of good stuff coming up. I think it's the first show back with fans as well, so that's always a positive. I think that WWE is going to really, really try to deliver a good product with the first episode or the first event back with fans. And I think I'm really hoping that it's going to happen. I'm very confident it's going to happen. I know us wrestling fans and WWE fans have been disappointed time and time again over the last like 10 to 15 years, or basically my whole life as a WWE fan. This is a company that they had a really good run and did a lot of great stuff, but the last bunch of years, it's really hard to watch. So I'm hoping that they're really planning to deliver something really good this weekend.
The one thing that I don't get about that is, like you said, this is the first event back with fans physically being in attendance, and that's not going by AEW or NXT.
But this is going WWE's. Yes.
This is Raw and SmackDown.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you've seen it, Rick, but they're going back to Thunderdome right after WrestleMania.
Raw is not having fans?
No fans for Raw, no fans for SmackDown. I've seen that they're going to be moving to a different arena for the Thunderdome.
Well, that part I did know that they're moving the Thunderdome to another arena because that field has to open. Whatever the baseball team that plays there is going to be playing there. So they're moving that Thunderdome. I mean, it's just a matter of time. I think that this is going to be a test. The tester for an event. A lot of vaccinations are going out. People have been living in the house for almost over a year now. Because of COVID-19, people are really dying to get out and do something. So I'm really hoping that this is going to be run as like a tester event and that it really goes well successfully. And, people will go through and then they'll be able to bring more live crowds in down the road, especially in the next couple of weeks or so. From what I understand, they're going to start returning to live events again as well sometime during the summer.
What I understand, they're not going to have fans for at least for a little bit for the Thunderdome. But what I'm hoping is Raw and SmackDown is very similar to NXT, where they had the Thunderdome screen up on the side, and then they have fans physically there at the bottom.
Are those actually fans, or are they like trainees at like the performance center? Are they actual paying fans?
They're actual paying fans. And the reason I know that is because you know that the Bayley fan named Izzy.
Yeah, I know who she is. Yep.
I follow her on social media and stuff, and she's actually been spotted by me on NXT television.
Yeah, I know her and her father go there a lot to that. She's always calls in. Yeah, okay. She always calls in to Bust It Open on Thursday mornings to talk about NXT. Yeah.
And I thought we'll talk about NXT TakeOver the night 1 and night 2. We want to go ahead and start about NXT TakeOver Stand and Deliver.
Yeah. NXT Stand and Deliver TakeOver Stand and Deliver was Wednesday and Thursday. Yes. I thought that Wednesday night show, night 1, was possibly one of the best television shows that they produced in the last year. I really did. Thursday lost me a little bit, especially in the first few matches. We can get into that. But the main event, one of the matches I really enjoyed from night 1 was Walter and Tommaso Ciampa. I thought that they killed it. They had me fully invested in that entire match, and honestly, I never get tired of seeing Tommaso Ciampa. I don't think that guy has a bad match. Literally, I don't think he can have a bad match. Same thing with Walter. Right. I think that those two are two of the best professional wrestlers today, and it was really good. That was just a fucking awesome match, and I was kind of on the line about thinking that there might actually be a title change where Ciampa won the UK title. It didn't happen because I kind of figured that Walter would walk away with it, but it was just a really intense and brutal matchup.
100% agreed. One hell of a match. Really, I kept people attention on that one.
Yeah, I was on the edge of my seat.
Quite honestly, I thought there was going to be a title change with the build-up towards the match.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, Walter walked out as champion. And plus, what added to the thought process of Walter losing the title was he had the title for like a year and a half, 2 years now.
Some 400 and something days. That's what I remember correct. From them mentioning on the event.
Another match that I thought was at least good from night 1 was the Io Shirai and Raquel Gonzalez match in the main event for night 1.
That was really good. That was a very good match. I'm kind of surprised to see a title change, but how long did Io Shirai have that? Io Shirai also held that for just over a year too, right? The NXT title.
No. If you remember, last year at WrestleMania, it was Rhea Ripley, the NXT champion, defending the title against the Royal Rumble winner of 2020, Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair walked out and went to NXT TakeOver in your house, and then lost in a triple threat match against Rhea Ripley and Io Shirai. So that was shortly after WrestleMania last year in late April, I believe.
Okay.
So it was almost a year.
Okay. All right. So I mean, that was a really good match as well, which I wasn't expecting it to be nearly as good as it was. So, but I thought it ended up being really good.
And to me, I don't know about you, Rick, but to me, I kind of expected the outcome of Raquel winning the belt because of because a lot of fans are like me that they rather see the person chase the championship after so long instead of always constantly defending it.
Right. Yeah, it just looked like one of those things. Like you could just tell. Sometimes in WWE, you can just tell what's going to happen and who's going to, the titles are going to change, etc.
Yeah,
it's just sometimes they're just way too predictable.
and that's kind of what NXT is getting to the point.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. The tag title match as well was pretty good with MSK and the hell's the other guy's name? The Grizzled Young Veterans, and there was another team involved, wasn't there?
El Hijo down Phantasma or something like that.
Phantasma. Oh, right, that's right. I thought this was, it was pretty indie-rific. It was pretty good. I do like MSK a lot. I like them when they were in Impact. They were really good team. They do a lot of that flippy dippy stuff, but one of the things is that they're not one of those guys that always goes for those moves and misses. You know what I mean? Or goes for a dive and botches it. You know what I mean? They always seem to land their stuff. They're a really good team. I really like Grizzled Young Veterans. The Phantasmo team, I'm not really too hot on them. I'm not too familiar with as far as like just seeing them in NXT here and there.
See, I'm vice versa on that. I'm not behind MSK. Mainly because, unlike you, I haven't watched Impact.
Uh-huh.
So I was more behind Grizzled Young Veterans than anything for that match. I wanted the Grizzled Young Veterans to win that match.
Oh, they're a great team. Those guys have been around a while now, so they have a lot of really great matches under their belts.
And say, MSK to me should have to prove, at least to me, that they deserve everything they should get, and WWE. Because what they done in Impact, that was there, not WWE or NXT.
Well, the thing is, Impact is they were there for probably 2 years. They didn't win a tag title at all. They were built up as like this great team. They worked a lot of really, really great matches, and then their contract. Actually, there's 3 members, but one of them didn't jump to NXT. They ended up re-signing with Impact. So they ended up not winning any titles. They come over here and when did they debut? 2 months ago now, probably in the Dusty Classic tournament. In the Dusty tournament, so that had to be 2 months. So I mean, I think it's well deserved because they really did. They do deserve a tag title. I mean, and you didn't get to see it happen in Impact. They're a good team. They're really crisp. They're young. Before they get too banged up.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Rick. It's just I think in WWE they should kind of have more of a build towards them winning the NXT tag title. At least about another 2 months. At least 2 months more.
Right. Well, the tag titles were vacant, so somebody had to win them, really. But
I understand that point. I just think it should have been Grizzled Young Veterans, and then had another month, at least another month, if not 2. Then have Grizzled Young Veterans be like a transitional champion and have them drop it to MSK.
Gotcha. Okay.
At least it would have been a little bit more of a build, though.
Right. So what else we got for this show?
What's your thoughts on the D-Generation X reunion in 06 to 07, and then, of course, 2009 to 2010?
I don't care. I was not a DX fan growing up. There was some of the stuff, that, they were kind of funny, but a lot of it's just like dick and ball jokes, dick and fart jokes, It's just, they're not really that entertaining.
Well, that's where me and you kind of disagree a little bit on. I found them, at least the 2006 to 2007 run, to be at least a little bit entertaining and a little bit funny. but
Right.
not really way up there as
Right.
Comedy Gold.
Right. Right. Yeah. What else you got? We mention about Stand and Deliver Night 2, right? What did you like about that show?
Uh, Night 2 for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championship match. That was a great match, even though I didn't really like the outcome. It was still
I
a hell
was
of a
not.
match.
See, I thought that one was a little bit. That one did not suck me in. Night 2 did not suck me in like Night 1 did. The tag match, I thought it was a little bit over the top. Shotzi Blackheart, her gimmick is just, it kind of gets more and more annoying every time I watch her. So, the hair, the tank, the howling like a wolf, it just kind of gets more and more annoying.
Well, I kind of agree with that. Plus, I'm not sure if you know this or not. I don't see how she was able to stay clear-headed while wrestling, because it was released by Shotzi Blackheart that her stepfather is in a coma after after having 2 heart attacks.
Oh, Jesus. I hope everything turns out okay. So
She
trooper
said
then that
that
she went out there. Yeah.
she went and seen him, and she's hoping everything's all well and okay, but it doesn't look good.
I'm sorry to hear that. That's crazy. I didn't see that posted at all.
It was actually about a day or two before the match.
Mm-hmm.
But my sympathy goes out to her and her family
Absolutely.
on that.
Absolutely.
But and getting back to Night 2, the opening match, the ladder match in between Santos Escobar versus Jordan Devlin to crown the undisputed NXT Cruiserweight Championship was also very well done.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was a lot of throwbacks to other ladder matches within that match.
Yeah, that one, it was okay. I mean, to me, it was okay. It wasn't fantastic. There was some things that just seemed like they were just did a little bit too much. You know what I mean? As far as like too much drama. They didn't have enough. It's just like a lot of standing around being like, "Oh, look, I'm climbing a ladder," kind of a thing. It's just sometimes. But so I mean, Jordan Devlin's a really good worker, as is Escobar. It's just for some reason I wasn't seeing it clicking particularly there for some reason. One match that I really, really enjoyed and that I was really, really looking forward to was Killer Cross or Karrion Cross, whatever you want to call him today, and Finn Balor. And congratulations, Killer Cross, on winning the NXT World Championship. That guy is phenomenal. I think he's great. I thought this was a great match, and this has to be the best match of the show, to be honest with you, of Night 2. That's been a feud that's been built up really well. This match was built up really, really well. And I thought that it really delivered. Cross is a guy that has fought a lot to had to break it down because he's dealt with a lot of being held back, especially when he was in Impact and other companies. And he worked his way to the top and really worked his ass off to get somewhere in the business. And he debuted in NXT, so he worked his ass off, and now he's champion. And and there's still many more years to come because the guy's still relatively young. So, so congratulations to him. I think the guy has a lot going on right now. It's phenomenal that he got to where he is after being, like I said, being held back in Impact and other companies. And he had a really great match with Finn Balor on the Thursday night. I thought it was really, really good. But, I'm looking forward to seeing him as the NXT champion.
And say, I 100% agreed with everything you said. One hell of a match. But the only thing I'm going to add is also one hell of a build to the match as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The other match, the main event, I really thought they we're really building it up really well. And to me, it just didn't deliver. And Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly had a really long feud in Ring of Honor as well. And
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So yeah, I was expecting them to come in and have a really great match. And I'm not saying it's terrible, but there's one thing that it just went too long. That's one thing. It drove me nuts. Especially if you bring out all these weapons, and it just turned into like they started off. One of the things that I can't stand is I was having this discussion today with my friend. Immediately, a feud starts, and then they go to these matches that are supposed to be the blow off matches. There's no match, and a blow off. Like a steel cage should always be the final, but look at this. Like they're always like starting these feuds, and then a steel cage match or a gimmick match is the first match. The gimmick match is supposed to be the last match in the feud. So they did this whole unsanctioned things where there's weapons involved and all this other crap. And it's just, to me, it just took it down a couple levels. And it just wasn't as good as it really could have been, because if these two just went in there and had a straight wrestling match, I guarantee it probably would have been match of the year. I would have probably chosen that to be match of the year, because it would have been phenomenal. I mean, I want to know, it's like if somebody hits you in the face with steel chain, you don't think you're going to get busted open, you're going to bleed out or something to that effect?
Oh, you're right. Because, when I think back to it, and I actually thought about it when they actually brought the steel chain out. I thought back to 2005 Vengeance, the Hell in a Cell between Triple H and Batista. There was blood in that match shortly after that chain was introduced.
Yeah, there should have been blood. I mean, if you're gonna use weapons and stuff like that, there should be blood involved. It's like now all of a sudden people are using all these weapons on each other, and there's nothing happening. It's like no blood, no nothing. It's like it doesn't make sense to me, to be honest with you. It makes the product look phony. It makes the product look ridiculous. It's just, I've lost interest in WWE and such because of incidences like that.
There's one thing I always think about with WWE or AEW, and I think you would agree that there's some things that AEW is doing right that WWE is doing wrong. There's some things that WWE is doing right that AEW is doing wrong.
So I think AEW does a lot of things wrong, but they're still a new company that's 2 years old, so they're still learning. They're still, Tony, they're still getting. There's a lot of kinks that need to be worked out in that company, but I think that they're really doing a lot of really great for the business as a whole. So the whole thing with this is that it's like you said, they are doing some things right. Like look at for instance, when the pandemic hit and everybody was having no fans. What do? They just surrounded the ring with a bunch of wrestlers and that were all keeping their socially distanced thing. And it just made for a better product, the way that it was with a little crowd noise. And you know what I mean? WWE was just having no fans whatsoever, no crowd noise. And it was just, I'm not saying that it was bad for WWE. I mean, WWE was just, it took them a little while to get their niche in the pandemic era. And I thought that AEW really, they came up with something and it worked. And, and it's two different styles, you know what I mean? AEW and WWE. WWE is a more polished product. It's more mainstream. It's geared towards a certain type. It's geared towards the masses. It's what people know. It's what people are comfortable with.
And say, I 100% agreed on that, but if WWE or AEW can kind of look at each other's product and see what the other one's doing right, and then combine it what they're doing right, then they can improve their product.
Right. Yeah. I think that it's only a matter of time, and like I said, it's only a matter of time before they're starting to learn from each other. I mean, AEW they do a lot of things where they just let the wrestlers do whatever the hell they want. And I think that if anything, that might be the downfall of the company, to be honest with you.
Well, I agree with you. If you let the fan or let the wrestlers or talent, whatever you want to call them, 100% do what they want, then it's going to backfire on you. But
Right.
if you only if you put like a chain on them or dog collar, or whatever you want to say, and let them come up with a lot of the ideas, but actually get them approved, then therefore I think it just will help the product.
Right. Yes. Yeah, I think you're right. But there's a lot of things changing, in professional wrestling where it's I think 2021 is starting to get a little bit back to normal. A lot of indie shows are starting to run again too, so it's good. Things are getting better, I think.
Say there's not really that much more I can really say about anything unless you want to talk about anything else, Rick.
Nope. Just check out the PWZ podcast. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and our latest episode is a WrestleMania predictions episode. It's a little bit outdated as of tomorrow, but we have T-shirts. Go to TeePublic and search our name, and you can buy one. It's going to be a sale coming up next week, so look for that. Basically, send me a friend request or what have you, and let's talk some wrestling. There's going to be a lot more content coming out from the PWZ podcast as we got stuck in a little bit of a rut and some staff changes, but starting to pick up, and we're going to have a lot more coming very soon.
Say this has been chatting with Rick Del Santo. Peace.